So now that my rings are all glued together, the next thing we need to do is glue them all into a stack. I'm going to do my stack in 2 halves, that way it'll make it easier to hollow it out on the lathe. So I'm starting off, I cut this 4.5 inch disc with a tenon on one end that will fit in my chuck. This is going to be for the bottom of the hollow form. I need to get this on and centered, so I'm just going to take a couple small pieces of double-sided tape, put them on the tenon and peel the back side off. We're going to do one more piece. This is just to get this to stick temporarily to my segment press so that I can put it all together. So now that we have that, we're just going to lower this down. Alright, so now that we have that centered on the press, we just need to start adding in the rings. Alright, so on to the first ring. I'm just using an old Longworth chuck that I have that I don't use anymore to help me center all of my rings to make sure that the stack is as close to centered as possible. So I'm going to open the chuck up a little bit. That's good. We're going to put some glue on the top of the ring. Get it spread around a little bit. That should be enough for the first. So we're going to put in a Longworth chuck, close it down till it's centered, and then we're going to lower the base piece with the tenon on it. Make sure it's centered all the way around, and just give it, you don't need to go crazy with the pressure, and then just let that sit for a little bit for the glue to start drying, and then we can add our next ring in. Alright, so the glue for the first ring is set up enough, so next thing we're going to do is we are going to release the tension a little bit. Widen the Longworth chuck up a little bit. Bring what I got glued together up high enough to get the next ring in, and then we're going to slip the next ring down in place. So that one's centered. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to apply some glue just to the area where the ring we already glued on is going to sit. Okay, that should be enough glue. Then we're going to slip that ring in. Tighten down the Longworth chuck to lock that in place, and then lower the press back down. Make sure it looks centered, and then put a little bit more pressure on it, and we're going to let that ring glue up. So another way you can glue up your rings is just to use your lathe. So here I have my smallest ring for the other side attached to a chuck, and I'm going to be using my sanding disc as a press plate to press all the ring sections together. So what I'm going to do is just same thing, a little bit of glue around the area where the smallest ring will be pressed against it. Put it in, and one thing you want to do that you need to do is align your joints so that they're in the center of the previous segments. So I'm just going to give it a little bit of spin just to make sure that everything looks like it's good to go, and then just apply a little bit of pressure. Let that sit for a few minutes, and then we'll add another ring. Alright, so now that's set for a few minutes so the glue won't release. We'll back our plate out a little bit. Grab our next disc. Again, put a little bit of glue just where the previous ring is going to press onto it, because the previous ring was smaller than this one. We'll slip it in. Make sure everything looks like it's lined up. And then before I tighten it, we'll just get it a spin. That looks pretty good. Tighten that one down. Let that sit for a few minutes, and then we'll just continue with the last two rings. Now that I have my two halves glued together, the next thing I need to do is turn the inside, then glue it all together, and then turn the outside.